Hi guys, Jamie here from JB Motion. Today we're going to be creating the scene you're looking at right now. Very easy to set up, consists of two cubes, a Bend Deformer, a Twist Deformer, both of which have been animated. And we're also going to be cloning them using a cloner, and we're going to be using a Random Effector. We're going to be looking at how we can use the time offset parameter within the Random Effector to make each of our objects dance independently. Stay tuned, here we go. Okay, so first of all we want to create a cube, and in the object tab we're going to set the size here on the X to 40, on the Y to 120, and on the Z to 40. And we want to set this to be a fillet, and we're going to bring the fillet radius to about 5. Just hit S on your keyboard to zoom in, and hit NB to show lines. I want to bring the fillet subdivisions up to about 7, and that's cool. Okay, so next we are going to add a twist deformer. So in your deformers, just find twist, there it is, and make that a child of your cube. Now click the fit to parent button, and let's start twisting this. So we can do that by bringing the angle here up. So as you can see, it's making our geometry look all rubbish. So to fix that, we need to increase our segments along the y-axis on our cube. You can do that by clicking on the cube and in the object tab, bringing the segments up till it's nice and smooth. We'll go for about 16, we'll say. 16 should do it. Zoom in there and see what that looks like. Yeah, 16 will do nicely. Okay, cool. So let's just hide off our deformer box there so we don't see that by double clicking on this circle here. Now we are going to animate this. So we want to set our angle to minus 30 degrees. Let's actually go to minus 90 and set a keyframe on frame 0. Go to frame 30 and set the angle to 90. Hit enter and set another keyframe. Now go to frame 60 and set this angle back to minus 90. Hit enter, set another keyframe. And let's increase our frame range to 600 frames. Double click here in the middle. And now if we hit play, let's see what we got. Okay, so great, but we want that to repeat. So how do we do that? Let's bring up our dope sheet, Shift F3 to do so. And we want to click on the animation that we just created here and go over to the properties tab that will appear after you click on it. And here in the after drop down, set that to repeat. Now how many times do we want it to repeat? I don't know. Let's go for 50. And that should be enough. So let's close down our dope sheet there and let's see if that worked. Cool, so that's going to repeat 50 times, and it shouldn't, 50 should be more than enough for our 600 frame range there. Cool, so next we are going to put this into a cloner. So with the cube selected, go to MoGraph, hover over cloner there, hold down Alt, and then click the cloner. That holding down Alt will automatically add the cube as a child of the cloner. Now let's set this to honeycomb array. Let's zoom out there a bit. We are going to set the count width to 15 on this, and the same with the height, 15 and 15. Now we can see if we press play that all of our clones are going to carry the same animation that we've set up for our initial cube object, which is great. So we want to mess around with the coordinates here. First, we want to mess around with the transform tab. So click on the transform tab and set the rotation P here to 90 degrees. Now in the coordinates tab, set the P here to minus 90. And now all our little cuboids are going to be standing upright. Great. Okay. We also want to set this cloner in the object tab. We want to set this honeycomb array to a form of circle. So now they're going to kind of be standing in a circle. And we want to edit our size width and our size height to around 90 and about 150. Let's reduce that just a little bit and increase this just a little bit. Cool. So there we have our cuboids, and they're all dancing in formation. We don't want to do that. So what we can do to make them all dance randomly, make the animation happen at random times, is go to our cloner and click on the object. I tell you a lie. We don't go to our cloner. What we need to do is create a random effector. So go to MoGraph, go to the effector here, and go down and click on random. Now that's gonna position our cuboids in random places. We don't want it to affect the position. So click on your random object, go to the parameter tab, and turn off position. We just want to affect the time offset. So if I set this, pause that, go back to the beginning. If I set this time offset to 30 frames, let's see, you can already see what that's doing. So they're all going to look like they're dancing independently. Cool, okay. So next we are going to go back to the beginning. We're going to turn off our cloner. And we are going to hold down control and drag this cube down out of the cloner, and it's going to give us a new cuboid. So let's delete off this deformer. We don't want that. And in our cube, let's set the coordinates here to 0 on the rotation P. So it's going to be standing upright for us again. Cool. Now we want to hit S on our keyboard to zoom in and just zoom out a little bit. And we are going to add a Bend Deformer, which is here. We're going to make that a child of our cube. And we're going to click on our Bend Deformer, go to the Object tab, and click on Fit to Parent. So now we can start bending this, like so. So I'm going to set this to 30 degrees. And I want to create a keyframe there at frame 0 because I'm going to animate this bend in the same way I did with the twist. So click on the keyframe there, go to frame 30, and then set this to minus 30. And create another keyframe, then go to frame 60, set this to 30 again, and set another keyframe. So now we'll see that this will play, but only once. So we need to repeat what we did for the twist. Open up your dope sheet with Shift F3, click on the animation that you just created, and go over to our Properties tab here. Change the after drop down to repeat and set that to 50. Close down your dope sheet, and now let's see if that worked out for us. Cool. Okay. So next we can turn back on our cloner, and we can add this to our cloner. So now we got a whole bunch of cuboids that are doing dancing, some kind of strange dancing that you'd see nowhere else. but they're dancing away there, and they're all dancing independently. So if I was to go back to my cloner, or my random effector, this is what's causing the independent dancing, we'll say. So if I turn the time offset back to 0, now you can see that they're all dancing in formation, like a K-pop group. But that's not what we want. We want them all to look like they're all at a disco dancing independently. So I'm going to set that back to 30. And now they're all going to be dancing independently again. Cool. Okay. So next we're going to create our materials for our dancing cuboids. So double click in the materials panel, double click on the new material to open it up, and let's create a material for our bendy cuboids. So I'm going to turn on the luminance channel, turn off the color channel, and I'm going to set the luminance to pink. So let's just say our bendy cubes are going to be the girls, and our twisty cubes are going to be the boys. So double click again the materials panel, open up that material, and the boys are going to be blue. And they're not going to have any luminance, and they're going to have a reflectance channel using Beckman, and the brightness is going to be quite high for them, so they're going to reflect the purple luminance of our girl cuboids, we'll say. Cool, so let's add our pink, or sorry, we've already added that there. Let's add our, oh, it's not blue. Let's make it blue. And let's add that to our boy cuboids. Cool, okay, so let's have a render, see what that's looking like. Okay. Now, what we're going to do to make this look even better is we're going to turn on global illumination, and that is going to really improve the look of our scene. I'll show you what I mean right now. Okay, so you can't really see much because we haven't created a floor yet, so let's do that right now. Create a floor, middle mouse click and go into your front view. Let's bring the floor down to the base here of our dancers, right beside their feet. And let's create a material for that. We are going to create a reflective material, again using a Beckman, and we're going to go down to about 50% brightness, and let's bring the color a bit brighter there. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to create a tiled surface. So click on texture here and go down to surfaces and click on tiles. Now we can open this up. Let's set the tile color 1 to be white, whitish. Yeah, white. We'll go for white. Go crazy. And tile color 2 we'll set to it slightly off white, slightly more off. Yeah, about there. I still think that's a bit too dark. We'll go there. Okay, and the grout color we can just set that to a kind of a grayish color. And let's increase the U scale here to 500% and the V scale to 500%. Now what we want to do to create a 3D effect on our grout is we're going to click on our color channel, and we're going to click on this arrow and copy the shader. We're going to copy that into our bump channel. So turn that on and click on this arrow and go paste shader. Now the exact same tile surface shader that we just created is going to be pasted into our bump channel, and it's going to create a 3D effect where our grout is. I'm going to turn down the strength to about 10%. And now if we apply that to our floor, let's see what this is looking like right now. I'm going to just go into my render settings, turn off save, and do a render to picture viewer so we can see what that looks like. So as you might have noticed, I've been doing a bit of practice with this to get it to where I want it to be before starting this tutorial. So I hope I didn't give away the final product there. I think I might have. Anyway, as you can see, this is looking really disco techie now, if that is a word. So the global illumination is basically making our light from our luminance cuboids bounce around the place, and it's looking really cool. See these jagged lines here? As you probably know, we're going to get rid of those later by turning on anti-aliasing. We're not going to do that yet because it's going to slow down our render time. Next, we want to set up a camera and make that active. In the coordinates tab, let's set the rotation H here to 25 degrees, and on the rotation P, let's set that to 45 degrees. And let's go into our top view, zoom out, and let's just bring our camera over so that the shot is centered there. Let's go back into the perspective view. Okay, so I've basically lost. Okay, so the camera's looking in the wrong direction. So this should be set to -45. And let's go back into our perspective. Just kind of, I should have done that manually. I was trying to show off with my coordinate values. But anyway, it didn't work out. Now I've learned. Now I've learned a lesson about showing off. I want to turn off the Bend Deformers. See the way it's giving me these white lines here? I want to get rid of those. I want to not see those. So double click here, just as we did with the Twist Deformer. Double click on that top circle, and that'll remove our Bend Deformer box, as it were. Cool. So let's see what we got now. We got these guys. They're dancing away, having a great old time. And we're almost finished with this. Finally, we want to create some cool disco spotlights. So go to, just create a light, and let's bring it up along the y-axis, like so. Let's set it to be, in the general tab, let's set it to be type spot. Now deactivate your camera, and let's look at what we got here. Or on your keypad to open up to use your rotation tool, and let's rotate that down and 90 degrees, so it's pointing right down. So we can move it up to increase the size of it there, the actual size of the light, or we can move it down to decrease the size of it. So I'm going to move it up so that the spotlight is about this radius here, maybe up a bit more. And I want this to be a red light, so I'm going to set it to be about this intensity of red. I want the actual intensity to be set to 60%, and I want the shadows to be area shadows. And also this is gonna have a vibrate tag on it, which is gonna randomly rotate. I'm just gonna type in some random values here, and that's gonna randomly rotate around our scene. It's gonna pivot around the axis here at random, and it's gonna go at a speed or a frequency of 1. Okay, so cool. Is that random enough? Yeah, that's random enough. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna duplicate the light, hold down Control, just drag it up, and this is gonna be a green light. So I'm just gonna drag this until I'm happy with the color of it. Let's turn this light off because it's affecting the colors are mixing there. I'm gonna go a bit lighter, about there. And if I turn that red light back on and hit play, as you can see, the vibrate tags are exactly the same. So they're going to be moving at random, but at the exact same level of randomness. So to change that, click on the new light that we just created and click on the vibrate tag and set the seed to 1. And now you can see they're both randomly random. Okay, so let's do just a quick render to picture viewer there. Let me make my camera active first. Yes, I want to stop it. Let's do a quick render and see what that looks like. I think it's looking pretty cool. Haven't seen it yet, but I know it's going to look cool because, as I said, I've already been doing a bit of practice with this before this tutorial. That's going to render away. It's actually almost done. There we go. Okay, so I'm really happy with the way that's looking. One last thing you guys should do before you render this out to get rid of any jagged reflections, even though, you know, there isn't that many, to be fair. But if you crank the actual dimensions of your render, if you crank that up to 1920 by 1080, you might actually start to see some jagged lines in the reflections. So just to be safe, even though it will increase your render times, go to anti-aliasing and set that to best. 2 by 2 should be fine, seeing as we're getting very few jagged edges. And you can render that out to however many frames you want to look at it for. And that concludes our tutorial, guys. Hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.